Sermon is Noah and the Day of Deception, number 6. It might stop at 100, I don't know. But the real focus today is called the Spirit of Cain. Okay? The Spirit of Cain. What's the focus? Yeah, we're gonna dive into some good stuff. At least I hope it's good stuff. We're living in the year of 2020, and most of us know that 2020 signifies, perfect vision, right? Then why is everything we see not real? I mean, we're supposed to have perfect vision, 2020, but in the year 2020, it's the opposite of the truth. All right? I put it to you that sometimes you got to go through evil, darkness, chaos, lies, deception, because there is a truth and there is a vision that you can only get to by going through the darkness and the lies. You guys get what I'm saying? All right, so what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to give us a truth that is beyond the lies and the evil that we're watching in social media, our mainstream media, on our TV screens, okay? Give you a whole different perspective on some things. I think this is going to apply to not just what we're seeing in the world, but my intent is to help you understand a lot of things that happen inside your relationships at work, at home, maybe things that happen to you in your intimate relationships especially, but also in the church. Okay? And if you don't realize what's happening out there has also been happening in here, if you don't connect the spirit that's at work there and the spirit at work here, it's the same spirit, it just plays out differently. Okay? But it's the same spirit. And that's what I'm going to try to show us today. So I'm going to start like I do a lot of times, just with some quotes. If you take these quotes after my sermon, you go back and read them, you will see them completely different than you did the first time you heard them. I'm just going to tell you that. So where I'm going to start is by turning this thing on, which I never do. If it works. All right. That was 3 resources I kind of used to get my quotes from here. This goes back to the Archbishop Vigano, who wrote the open letter to Trump. We have been witnessing the formation of 2 opposing sides. Right? The children of the light and the children of the darkness. And if you notice on the children of the darkness, those who are trying to undermine the country, destroy the country, take the country into chaos, destroy law and order, destroy the church. California is keeping all the Christians from... You can go to church, but you can't sing and praise the Lord. And you can only be 25% of your normal capacity. It just isn't against America. It's against God. This is playing out. It is what it is. But the children of darkness has Hollywood lined up with them. They have the politicians lined up with them. They have all the sports heroes who are making $100 million a year all lined up with them. They have the high-dollar pastors lined up with them. Then there's us. You guys get this? There's a reason that we have to become the people of Jesus. We have to take over the ministry of Christ. Because they ain't doing it. And they're leading us into darkness. It's getting harder even in the church to separate the children of darkness and the children of light. Because the children of darkness will say, praise the Lord, just the same as the children of the light. In fact, most children of the light don't say nothing when they come to church. They just sit there. But the seed of the woman and the seed of Satan, one referring to Jesus and one referring to Satan, is real. And it is playing out. Alexander Chauvinist, thank you. He's from Russia. He went through when Russia took over, the communists took over Russia. He was part of it. Yeah, he was into Siberia, the gulags, the book he wrote was based on that. It's a real famous book. If you've never read it, you need to. Because if you read the book, you go, man, I know everything that they're doing. I know what they're doing on TV. I know what they're doing with Black Lives Matter, the organization. I know what they're doing with the Hollywood actors. I know what they're writing. I know everything about what they're doing because it's already been done before. It was done in Russia. He wrote a book about it. It's a quote. The communist system is a disease. The Marxist system, a place that has been spread across, a place that has been spreading across the earth for many years already, and it is impossible to predict what peoples will yet be forced. Notice the word forced. To experience this disease firsthand. My people, the Russians, have been suffering with it for 60 years already when he wrote the book, when he wrote this quote out of the book. They long to be healed. They're telling us that healing is only found in lawlessness. Healing is only found when we punish all the white people, punish all the Christians, punish all the ones who have something. You know? Russia's got a whole different view of it. It continues. For us in Russia, communism is a dead dog. While for many people in the West, America, Europe, it is a living lion. A lion that saves the day. A lion that lives and roars. You know, pride, prosperity. No, it's a dead dog. Alexander again. Let your credo be this. Let the lie come into the world. Let it even triumph. But not through me. But not through me. Speak the truth. Thank you, Mary. He continues. We have to condemn publicly the very idea that some people have the right to repress others in the name of we've been repressed. In keeping silent about evil, in burying it so deep within us that no sign of it appears on the surface, we are implanting it, and it will rise up 1,000-fold in the future. You don't stand when you have the chance. Oh, it's going to be a lot worse later. And if we don't protect, and we don't stand, and we don't do the right thing, the godly thing, and we don't stand on the right principles, the principles this was found on, we will lose it, and it will be our grandchildren that have to take back what we lost. That's typically how it works. General Michael Flynn said this recently. He says, I was once told, if we're not careful, 2% of the passionate will control 98% of the indifferent, as ones who always got something to say but never say it when it matters, never stand when it matters. We're just indifferent. We're just asleep. We're just dead. 100% of the time. And he's right. So who is the ones making all the noise on the streets? The 2% that are passionate. By the way, they're paid and trained. They do not have a race. They're not there for races. They're not there for injustice. They have a political objective and only a political objective. So, that being said, we're going to get down and dirty. I'm going to give you a whole different perspective on a story that you all know, but maybe we don't know after all. And if you got your Bibles and you want to turn there, you're on your phone, or on the screen, we're going to Genesis chapter 4. First book of the Bible, 4 chapters over. We're going to go verses 1 through 16. And I'm going to be reading this from the Voice translation. It reads like a book. You know, they kind of tell you who's speaking, because a lot of times you read it, you don't know who's speaking. But anyway, here we go. Genesis 4. Now Adam and Eve discovered the pleasures of lovemaking. They were just thrown out of the garden. All right? They're excited. You're out of here, baby. All right, and soon Eve conceived and gave birth to a son whom they named Cain. Eve said excitedly, look, I have created a new human, a male child with the help of the Eternal. He went on to give birth to Cain's brother, Abel. Abel grew up to become a shepherd. And Cain grew up to become a farmer. After he had learned how to produce food from the fields, Cain gave the Eternal One an offering. Some of the crops that he had grown from the ground. For his part of the offering, Abel gave God some. Remember, he's the shepherd. The first, Cain's the farmer. Abel's a shepherd. So Abel gave God some tender lamb meat, the choicest cuts from the firstborn of his flock. The Eternal One accepted Abel and his gift of lamb, his blood sacrifice, while he had no regard. No regard. You know what no regard is? They don't care. God didn't care for it. God had issues with it. While he had no regard for Cain and his offering. It'd be one thing if he said, I have no regard for Cain's offering. But God didn't say that. He says that he had no regard for Cain and his offering. Because of this, Cain became extremely angry and his face fell. Now God notices Cain's reaction and confronts him. The Eternal One says to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why do you look so despondent? Don't you know that as long as you do what is right, then I accept you? But if you do not do what is right, watch out, because sin is crouching at the door, ready to pounce on you. You must master it before it masters you." So jealousy is eating at Cain's heart. This is their comments. Left unattended, it consumes him. So Cain spoke to his brother Abel. When they were in the field, Cain's envy, and the reason I chose this translation to do this, is the only translation that uses envy that even cares to give Cain's sin a name. And they correctly identified it as envy. And you're going to find out in a minute. I guarantee you, if I give a test right now, all of us would get it wrong. Because envy is what we think it is. Right? Alright? Somebody has something and you want it. That's not the sin of envy. That's not even what envy means. That's how it plays out. We're going to go deep. Cain's envy of his brother got the better of him, and he attacked and killed Abel. The Eternal One says to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain just says, "I have no idea." You can tell he's a boy. "I don't know." I am supposed to be responsible for, am I supposed to be responsible for where he goes and what he does? The Eternal One, God says, "What have you done?" What have you done? Listen. I can hear the voice of your brother's blood crying out to me from the ground. And now you are cursed, cut off from the ground that opened up and received your brother's innocent blood spilled by your own murderous hand. From now on, when you till the ground, it will no longer yield for you its strength and nourishment. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. And Cain says this in reply. He says, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you have banned me from the soil and hidden me from your presence. I will be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Anyone who meets me will want to kill me." The Eternal One replies, "That's not the case. Whoever kills you will suffer my vengeance and pay the penalties 7 times. But God put a special mark on Cain, so that no one who came in contact with him would try to kill him. Then Cain went away from the Eternal's presence and settled in the land of Nod, a place for wanderers to the east of Eden." Okay. I'm just going to say, hold on. I'm going to break this down, and then I'm going to tell you some truth. Let's break this down. In verses 3 through 5, Mary, read it for me. Just to refresh.
After he had learned how to produce food from the fields, Cain gave the Eternal One an offering. Some of the crops he had grown from the ground. For his part of the offering, Abel gave God some tender lamb meat, the choicest cuts from the firstborn of his flock. The Eternal One accepted Abel in his gift of lamb, while he had no regard for Cain and what he presented. Because of this, Cain became extremely angry and his face fell.
Okay, so you have Abel, the shepherd, brought an offering of lamb meat. It's a blood offering for the Lord. A lot of pastors will say the issue between Cain and Abel is one offered a blood sacrifice and one offered a grain sacrifice. No, the Bible, they just have different reasons for that. For a blood or a grain. You know what I mean? Blood sacrifice is for atonement for sins. Now, that's not it.
Yeah.
It's not it. But Cain was a farmer, and his offspring was crops. God accepted Abel in his gift, but he had no regard for Cain in his offering. Cain became extremely angry, and his face fell. That is to say that Cain felt dejected, and his offering and himself was rejected. Now, the word angry in that last verse there, in the Hebrew, it's chara. I'm not sure if I say that right. That's what it looks like. It means he burned. He just wasn't angry that his wasn't accepted. He burned with anger. He incensed, furious. He was enraged. The dude was pissed. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes.
Yeah, it said worse.
Cain became filled with, and he burned with envy. Envy. This is what Nietzsche says, the great philosopher, psychologist. What justice means to us is precisely that the world will be filled with the storms of our revenge. Envy is tied to you're going to get even. You're going to get revenge. Somebody's going to pay.
So it's sort of wrath.
Cain's mind was consumed and it burned with envy. His mind was filled with hate, bitterness, and resentment. There's another thing about Cain, is that he had no empathy toward Abel. Now let's go to 4:8. Cain spoke to his brother Abel when they went out, and when they were in the field. Cain's envy of his brother got the better of him, and he attacked and he killed Abel. Now let's give some definitions on envy. Let's take this a little bit deeper in this envy thing. Envy is a destructive and diseased state of mind that harms not only the envier, but those who the envy is directed toward, and society as a whole. Cat me about this. They do a good thing on the internet, on YouTube. Now, this is from the Grimm's 19th century German dictionary. Envy expresses that vindictive and inward tormenting frame of mind, the displeasure with which one perceives the prosperity and advantages of others, begrudges them these things, and in addition wishes one were able to destroy or possess them. So either you destroy them or you take what's theirs. That's two great definitions. Envy, Drew got a new car and I want it. That's what we think envy is. Lisa's prettier than me and I want to be pretty. No. Envy controls your freaking mind. It turns you dark. It turns you evil. Oh, it's a whole lot deeper. And verse 12, from now on, the Lord saying to Cain, when you till the ground, you will no longer yield for you its strength and nourishment. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer of the earth. So basically what God is saying to Cain is, because of your envy, You know? It led to Cain being cursed. He's not cursed because he gave the wrong offering, or he gave it the wrong way, or with the wrong heart, or with the wrong attitude. That didn't curse him. What cursed him was what he did beyond that moment. You guys get that? He isn't cursed because he didn't give the right offering. All right, you got to catch that. If you miss that, it messes you up. Now, what is the real issue between Cain and Abel's offering? Well, the Bible actually tells us, but it tells us in Hebrews. Hebrews 11:4. Robert, can you read it for me?
It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man, and God showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith.
It was faith. It was the heart. It was what he put into it. It was deeper. He gave God the best. I mean, you can go through a bunch of things, but the best, the choice meat, the fat of the lamb, of the firstborn. But it's about faith. And this is Cain's offering was the effort of dead religion. It didn't cost him, here God, just take that. Dead religion. Well, Abel's offering was made in faith and a desire to worship God in spirit and in truth. Whole different attitude, whole different perspective, a whole different, attitude. You know, stories in the Bible where kings gave boundless and rich people gave boundless stuff to God, and then you had the widow with her pennies, and she gave everything, and God honored her. You know, our offering is our life. Our worship is our life, how we live. Not just what we do on Sunday morning. But if let's just put it on Sunday morning, when we sang, did you sing? Or did you put your heart into it? You know, when we pray, do we pray? When we read the Bible, do we just read the Bible? There's something there. There's something to that we can't miss. Now, y'all ready? You ready for the whole trip? Nothing but the trip, so up to God? Here we go. I'm going to take you inside this story as I see it, as I look at it. Because here's the deal. God made us emotional beings, right? Cain had an emotional reaction. So let's understand what drove Cain to do what he did. And maybe it'll help us understand what's going on. Because you can't look at envy and process correctly unless you go deeper. So I'm going to start with a question. Let's really break it down. Why did Cain hate, despise, and resent his brother so much? Why did he hate him, despise him, and resent him so much that he would kill him? Don't answer, because if you answer, you're a fool. I'm a fool. Because what Cain did had nothing to do with his brother. Who did Cain really hate? His brother, God, or himself? Himself. Why did he hate himself? Because he wasn't good enough. He was rejected. Whatever he gave to God, God blessed him. God blessed him. And I can't do it. I didn't do it right. I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I've been rejected. People have done me wrong. My brother done me wrong. The issue with Cain is Cain. He hated himself. His brother was just the one who had what he wanted and had the respect of God and had the blessing of God, and he measured up. If you get inside Cain's head, he would tell you, my brother's my hero. I want to be like him. Because if I'm like him, then maybe God would accept me. Maybe God would love me. Maybe I would be good enough. but because at the core of Cain was that envy. That's where the bitterness could set in. That is where the hate, the anger, the resentfulness. But when it plays out, when the envy plays out, it shows you attacking somebody, hurting somebody, taking from somebody, right? But you know what? Even if you could take it from somebody, even if whatever was inside of Abel that he wanted, even if he killed him, do you think it's going to change Cain? No. You can't take that. There's something inside of the person. It's here and here. But the envy took over, and he hated who he was, and he hated that God didn't accept him. He hated he was rejected. This is a lot deeper than you give it credit for. Cain believed that the only way to escape him having to look himself in the mirror and know that he was not good enough, than to go face God again and have his offering be rejected again and have himself rejected again, rather than have to do that and be compared to his brother. Is God comparing him to his brother? No. Who's compared him to his brother? He is. But rather than face that, we'll remove the brother from the equation. Because when the devil gets here inside your envy, that's what you'll do. So Cain believed the only way to escape the darkness inside of himself, what he felt about himself, what he believed about himself, was to destroy, kill, murder that which was the living proof, what he didn't have, that which was the opposite of him, that which had peace and love and contentment. He had to remove it. Cain showed no empathy. He murdered one person. He murdered the one person who reminded him that he wasn't good enough, that he didn't measure up. When Cain looked at Abel, I put it to you that Abel wasn't evil. That Abel ever, there's no evidence there that he ever, attacked Cain or belittled Cain or said, God loves me more than you. God accepted them. I didn't accept yours. None of that stuff happened. None of that stuff happened. But what Abel had was he had peace. There was a joy. He had God's blessing. He measured up. He had a light. There was a heart in him. There was an attitude of him that God honored. God approved of. For Cain to look at Abel, it reminded him of his inner darkness. And there's a time where envy has you. Okay, listen to me. There's a time when envy has, that you have envy. Let me rephrase that. You have envy. You wish you were him. But there's a time where you turn yourself over to envy and then it owns you. We've had situations within the church in the last number of years, and there's a time where people are fighting things in their life. And I've told you there's a shelf life. And if at a certain point they don't make peace with God and change these things, let these healing things happen, that one day it changes. No longer is it you with these issues. Now this is issue that owns you. And when the issue owns you, you'll destroy. You will attack. You will undermine. And that's what happened here. He had envy. But the envy took control of him. Now, what is the truth? When Cain looked at Abel, he was afraid. He wasn't even angry. Anger plays fear, being afraid, not that kind of fear, plays out is hatred and anger, but he was afraid. The hate, the anger, the resentment resulted from the fear that Cain felt when he wasn't good enough. So Cain's real fight, it was centered on his intimacy with God. It is centered on his intimacy with himself. Now, what should Cain have done? It's Pretty simple, right? He should have made peace with God, right? He should have changed his own life. He should have challenged his own character. And in challenging and changing your life, and challenging and changing your character, and allowing God to transform your heart, your mind, your life, in dealing with your own sin, your own hurt, your own shortcomings, your own circumstances, you don't end up working inside. But because he didn't do that, because he turned himself over to the envy, and envy is demonic. It is a demonic spirit. Okay? It's a demonic spirit. That's why I'm calling this sermon the subtitle as the spirit of Cain. Because I'm telling you, we love talking about the spirit of Jezebel and the spirit of... Nobody ever talks about the spirit of Cain. But it's alive and well in the world today, in America today, in the church today. Now, envy is at the heart of what's going on in America right now. The riots, the lying, the death, the violence. Because envy is being used as a political weapon. Okay? A dangerous perversion is taking place in the modern world. This is from a book that was written in the year 2000 by author, psychologist Gonzalo Fernandez de la Mora. Thank you. Alright? He called it egalitarian envy, the political foundations of social justice. He wrote it in the year 2000. He also said this in the book. Western societies are being shaped by politicians who are stroking the flames of envy for purposes of gaining power and control. 20 years ago, he's writing about what we're dealing with right now. Right now. Now, because of mass media, because of how many media companies there are out there, it has given politicians an open door into people's minds, into people's hearts, all right? To be able to manipulate, deceive, confuse, and incite envy, which when you see envy, it looks like hate, resentment. Because you want to tell a certain class, or a certain race, or a certain gender, that these people think you're evil. These people are against you. You don't have things in life because they took it from you. That if you would get rid of them, if you would make them submit, then you can have what's missing in your life. And what you don't have, and that hole in your heart, that hole in your life, and you know what? You will have it. That's what he means by they're stroking the fires, the flames of envy. Their cause is going to be kings. So let's riot, let's kill, let's murder, let's rape. Let's turn against brother. It's the spirit of Cain. And politicians and the media and all those who are in that one bubble, the radical Luciferian left, they know exactly what they're doing. Rather than telling Cain, you know what? I know you feel like, I know you were born into a life of poverty. I know you don't have a father. I know you can't go to college like all the other kids. I know you don't have. I know you're going hungry, Jeff. I'm using my life. Now go out there and take it from somebody who's got it. Go kill somebody who's got what you want. Go out there and make society submit to you. Or, Jeff, you can take the hard road. You can work your way through the pain, through the confusion, You can go to the military. You can spend 20 years in there. You can change your life. You can change your mind. And you put God in there, and God can give you peace. God can give you joy. God can change your character, your stars, your life. You get it? Nobody's telling people who are disadvantaged, who don't have, who are the wrong color or the wrong gender. Nobody's bringing people together. Nobody's encouraging people to overcome their limitations in life. And the limitations is not your color. And it's not your gender. And it's not your class. The only limitation was inside Cain's head. Because he didn't put into his offering. He didn't give to it. He didn't put what he needed to in it. It was a character issue. Which affected his faith. God knew it wasn't real, so God wouldn't accept it. So either I can work hard and change who I am and overcome it. And in doing that, what if Cain would have done that? Man, I'm at a disadvantage, my brother. He just gets it so easy. You know, I mean, everything he touches turns to gold. I mean, I'm a farmer. I mean, how it's hard for a farmer to give an offering that honors God the way that blood offering did. But you know what? I'm going to commit myself to God. And I'm going to overcome my obstacles. I'm going to overcome my limitations. And I'm going to be the best Christian, not because I'm going to try to do him wrong, and I'm not going to kill him to get there, and I'm not going to step him to get there, but I'm going to put my heart right. And I'm going to get my mind right. You know what? And I'm sure if I do that, maybe my brother will help me. That's not what they're telling our kids and our young adults today. What they're saying is, go burn it to the ground. They're filling full of envy, hate. And when envy controls you and owns you, where do you end up? Right where Cain ended up. It's in the Bible the whole time. The other thing that Mr. De La Mora says is a contemporary disguise for collective envy is what is called social justice. 20 years ago, he wrote and said this collective, where they put a whole group and say they're against y'all. Man was ahead of his time. Envy directed against personal qualities is the most insatiable, thank you, and poisonous, because the envious is left without hope. Because no matter how much you kill me, you're never going to be white or a man or a prick. You know what I'm saying? What do you really want from me? What do you really want from you? You see how they're framing it? You convince people that you don't got it, that you're not good enough, that you should want what the other people have. What the rich have. You should go kill them and take it. But you know what happens when you get it? It doesn't satisfy what it's saying. The envious is left without hope. It is also the lowest type of envy, for it hates what it ought to love and respect. I don't hate you because you're black or you're white or you're green. But man, if I love the differences in you, and I love your culture, and I love who you are, and I love what you bring to the table, you can pour that into me, and I'll pour me into you, and we'll change this world. But they're convincing the public to hate what the order should be, teach them to love, which is each other. Hope you're getting what I'm saying to you today. I don't know where I'm at. No, their envy is destroying the world. With the envious, when people don't know that the envy has got control of them, they don't realize they're programmed. But how many of us have been angry because somebody had something that we don't have, or a family, love, our relationship with God? What they're trying to do in our culture today is that say the path to happiness is tied to your envy. And if you don't remove those you're envious of, you'll never be happy. You can't be happy. They're being led to believe that the only path to happiness is not in raising yourself up, but in pulling others down. And there's a title for that, and it's called deconstruction. It's a Marxist term. How do you take from the fortunate the privilege and take from them to make you better? You got to deconstruct them. You got to tear them down. You got to tear them apart. You got to take what's theirs and make it yours. So you destroy a society. You destroy a nation. You destroy a people. By the way, once you've taken it, you did it with the wrong heart, the wrong thing. It ain't that one of you rises up then. You all die together. And you know who takes power and control? The ones that are throwing the fuel on the flame of the envy, getting you to fight these fights. They know in the end they win. Both of us lose. The whites and the blacks, the males and the females, the straight and the gays. We're pawns. We're puppets and they're the puppet masters. Right? Deconstruction. That's what they did to the Kulaks in Russia. All these white people who own farms. They worked hard. They fed Russia. They fed the Ukraine. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 million of them ended up in Siberia. The numbers are sketchy. Between 10 to up to 20 million. They took their homes. They took their farms. They took their animals. They put them in Siberia. No clothes, no nothing. No shelter. No nothing. And that's where they died. Meanwhile, the ones that they gave the land to, the underprivileged, as they were framed, the ones that were oppressed because they had something, they didn't know how to farm. They didn't know how to grow food. And as a result, 7 million Ukrainians who depended upon that food died with the 10 million Kulaks that died. 17 million people died because of envy, of leaders that empowered them with envy, stroked them fire, sent them out, destroyed those people, and destroyed 7 million more along with the 10 million they killed. Deconstruction is part of their game plan. It's part of the devil's game. The personal evil of envy has been made a virtue by the radical left politicians and their puppets. You're great if you do what you riot. It is a driving force in people today that suffer from personality disorders. Narcissism, behavioral problems, narcissistic personality disorder, sociopaths, psychopaths, cluster B. I put it to you that what's at work in these people and why they can't heal them. They said there is no cure. There is no way to heal a person with narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy. There's no way to cure. Oh yeah, there is. Remove the demon that has control of this. Start with the nature of envy. No society can exist in which envy is raised to the status of a normative virtue like they're trying to do in America. Even the superstition of simple societies see envy as a disease the envious man, as dangerously sick, a cancer from which the individual and the group must be protected, but never as a normal case of human behavior and endeavor. Nowhere, with very few exceptions, did we find the belief that society must adapt itself to the envious man, but always that it must seek to protect itself against him. Remember the scripture from Timothy, 1 Timothy 6? O Timothy, guard what God has entrusted to your care. Do the Marxist leadership that's behind what's happening in the world right now in America, do they know this? You daggum right, they know this better than you and I do, and I'm teaching you now. They know this. And the reason it seems like we're losing is because we're naive and we're blind and we trust too easily. They want to deconstruct America, and how do you do that? With envy. You make us hate one another. You make us want one another. You make us take from one another. And yes, those that push people to do this and those that buy into this are dangerously sick. They are. Now where am I going? Deep down, this same spirit that consumed and controlled Cain is the same spirit that's in the radical left right now. That's in By God's Matter, the organization. And all those behind it. And you guys got to remember, I keep telling this week after week after week for years now. We live in a day, 1 Timothy 4, that the hypocritical liars, everything they say, the opposite is true. They've turned the world upside down. Now, I'm going to get really deep here. I'm going to say some things that might bother some people. It's okay. I mean, I'm not rude with it. I'm not mean with it. I'm going to tell some truth. 1 Timothy 2. The children of the light versus the children of darkness. The children of darkness, as I'm giving to you today, are those controlled by the darkness. And those who are controlled by the darkness, they prey on the children of the light. That's why they're flaming them with envy to attack those that they think God has blessed. God has blessed you because you're white. God has blessed you because you're a Christian. God bless you because you got a house. You got this. They fan the flame of envy so the children of darkness will buy into it and they will attack the children of the light. Now, I frame that as in a color. And it's a hard thing to do because the opposite is true. Because there's black people who are blessed by God, who are honored by God. The children of darkness prey on the children of light. And what are they really after? Those who have the light, love, and the peace of the Lord. The blessing, the anointing of God. And where am I going with this? One therapist got it exactly right. He said that narcissists are creatures of darkness who are attracted to people of light. Amen. If you have a good heart, you have a beautiful heart. If you love, if you're willing to pour your life into somebody, give them somebody, all the narcissists, oh, they see you. The ones full of envy, oh, they see you. And they're going to take your heart. They're going to take the light in you. They're going to take the love in you. They're going to take the God in you. And they're going to drain it from you. It's called narcissistic supply. The God in you, the light in you, the love in you, they're going to take from you. And when they're done, just like when Cain was done, he's going to throw you away and you're going to be dead. There's more than one way to die. I don't got to shoot you, beat you in the head with a broom until you're dead. I can heal you emotionally. I can heal you mentally, spiritually, physically. There's a lot of ways to kill people. But this is what's happening. I talk to people. Lisa and I got a friend. She's a victim of this right now. People who have the spirit of envy in their core, they're the ones that are taking and using. And when they're done with you, they'll throw you away. Now, the children of darkness are drawn to the children of light. They are envious of the children of the light. And you know what? Because you have something they don't. You have something they can't have. At least in their minds they can't have. And the reason they can't have what you have is they're not willing to pay the price to have it. They're not willing to surrender to God. They're not willing to let go of their hurt, their anger, their fears, their past. They're not willing to trust again. They're not willing to be intimate again. So they'll take yours from you. And it could be in a business deal where you work, or you used to work. They want your light. They want your blessing. They want your anointing. They want your love. And they're going to leave you dead and empty and broken. I'm almost done now. So rather than face God and change themselves, they're going to use you and throw you away like a piece of trash when they're done. When you no longer give them what they need. And then they'll go find another child of the light and they'll do it to them. Where am I going? The truth about envy and narcissistic type behaviors in people, the truth is this: they're afraid of the strong, the children of the light. They are envious of the strong, the children of the light, because inside of them, they come across like they're strong, they got it together, they're in charge, they know. They are the most fragile, weak, and if you can really get in their head, they think they are the most worthless piece of trash that God ever created, because they've got this inner turmoil inside of them. They secretly hate themselves, even though they attack you, me. Just like Cain. They always got somebody to blame. It was the last wife or the last husband or my mom or... So I want to walk you through something here. Glasses on. The children of darkness. Okay. There's been something I've been watching for 15 to 20 years now happening inside the church with the children of darkness versus the children of light. Because sometimes those that look like children of the light, in their hearts and in their spirit, they're not children of the light. They're children of the darkness. And I think many of them don't even know it, because they're controlled by envy. They have resentment, they have anger, they have hate. It has their mind, it has their heart, and they're trying to escape it, but they don't know how to escape it. And when they're ready, when they come to church, if you're the one who has the real spirit in the church, are they going to come after you? Even if they don't get you from the front, they'll get you from behind. They'll undermine you in words. They'll destroy the pastor. They'll destroy the church. And then they'll go to the next one, talk about how bad that last church was, how bad that last pastor was, and everything. It's the game. So the children of darkness, many start out as children of the light. Something happened in their lives. Something made them believe they weren't good enough. Something that caused them to believe that they were rejected by God, by man. Many keep attending church. They still read their Bible, and pray. Many still believe they are children of the light, but in their mind and in their hearts, they have turned themselves over to the demonic spirit of envy, the spirit of Cain. They attack and destroy the man and woman of God. They attack and destroy the church of God. They are so controlled by the spirit of Cain that they actually believe that God gives them permission to destroy the man and woman of God, the shepherd of God, or the house of God. They think that because they're a Christian and God's given them the truth, that they're going to punish you, and they're going to punish me, and they're going to punish us. And this is how it plays out. And because they're not wrong, and because you have to believe like they believe, I'm teaching you this because I'm not going to do this anymore in the future. Not. We'll protect the flock. It's demonic deception that has control over that person's mind. If they believe they are God's avenging angel to destroy and to set right, their mind's not right. It's the spirit of envy. It is the spirit of Cain. It is demonic. It is evil. They are functioning and operating as a child of the darkness when they really think they're a child of the light. And that's hard, isn't it? That you're so messed up here, they don't even know they're evil. Where am I going with this? If you knew what I know, if you see what I see, if you get to deal with what I'm dealing with, then you would understand what I'm telling you. Now, where am I going with this? Nietzsche said this. He wrote this on the tarantulas. It's a great little story, poem, whatever you want to call it. What justice means to us is precisely that the world will be filled with the storms of our revenge. If you want to know if envy has a person, trip their trigger. Say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, say something and them take it the wrong way. You trip that trigger, they become vengeful. They want revenge, and they hate, and they're against you. They're going to undermine you, and this is what's happening to pastors, this is what's happening to churches, this is what's happening in relationships. When you trigger that trigger, it's happening on the streets. They want revenge for how many years of oppression? And what your great-great-grandparents might have done to their great-great-grandparents? They want revenge! Because they're being fed this crap. The second half of the trenches is this. For a man to be redeemed from revenge, that is for me the bridge, the greatest hope, and a rainbow after long storms. Just trust in all whom the impulse to punish is powerful. So what did Cain really do to Abel? He was trying to punish him because of his insecurities. When people use you and attack you, they're trying to punish you for their insecurities. And when you got politicians and the mainstream media and people feeding people envy, using something they feel disadvantaged in, right? You see the game? See the evil? All this is evil. All this is the spirit of Cain. This is what we're standing against. But Nietzsche here gives us hope. I love this. For to be redeemed from revenge is for me the bridge to the greatest hope. The love of Jesus will heal this land. The saving grace of Jesus, Jesus' blood that He died for will heal this land. The gospel of Jesus will heal. But they don't want that. They're keeping the churches closed. They're not letting you worship. You see, put all the pieces of their puzzle together. What's against black, everybody against church, the Black Lives Matter tweets I put up last week saying to take down all the crosses, take down all the statues of Jesus, it's white supremacy. There is hope, guys, and we're the hope. But we're not the hope unless we don't get out there and love. Will some reject us? Yeah. But we got to love. We got to change the world. And where am I going with this? Before I get there, I really believe today that many of us are dealing with hurts from the past. Okay? And this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going to get serious about it. And you need to make peace with something in your past. Because if you don't make peace, one day that envy, you're not going to be envious and wish you had a better life. You're not going to wish you had a better marriage, or you're going to wish you had a better social economic outlook. Sooner or later, if you stay at peace of hurt, brokenness in you, that it's going to own you rather than you owning it. And the only way to get rid of that is to never go there. Now, a lot of people may have said, Jeff, it's too late. I've already went there. That it controls me. My fear, my anger, my hate, my anxiety, it controls me. I can't stop that. Yeah, you can. And we can help you. God can give you peace. But where I really want to end this is right here. What is the quality of your offering to God? Well, Jeff, I don't got envy. Okay, cool. Jeff, I don't hate my family. I don't hate my past. I don't hate my ex. I don't hate wives. I don't hate. But something's missing. And what's missing is that relationship between you and God. Hebrews 11:4 says, it was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Is God going to compare your offering to somebody else's? No, He's going to compare it to His standard. His standard. The intimacy in it. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man. You know, there's a thing I did as a youth pastor many years ago, and I divided the kids into two groups, and we had a trial. That there was evidence to convict. They put two people on trial, to convict that they're alive. And Abel's offering gave more evidence that he was a righteous man. The guy showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith. Cain's offering was the effort of dead religion. Can anybody really define what dead religion? Only you know if your relationship with God is alive. If the intimacy is real. If it's passionate. I can't judge that. You can. While Abel's offering was made in faith, in a desire to worship God in spirit and in truth. Cain's offering was about himself. What he can do, what he can give from his own personality, his own abilities, and about what Cain can get from it. Honestly, most people come to church because they want to feel better. They want their hurt taken away. They want their problems fixed. They want God to give to them. And when God doesn't do these things, they get angry at God. And what's really going on inside of a person who goes there is the envy is trying to take over you. Because really it's you thinking you're not good enough. And the devil telling you you're not good enough. And your mama told you you're not good enough. Your spouse is telling you you're not good enough. The devil's telling you you're not good enough. People have walked out on you. People have rejected you. You've got nothing to offer God that's of worth. Yeah, you do. You got to offer you. You are what's valuable. Not what they have put in your head. Not what the world has tried to destroy. And the devil is trying to destroy you, especially through relationships. There's a calling in your life. And there's a purpose that God wants to use your life. But the real question is, what's the quality of your offering to God? And that's between you and God. So I'm going to put on a song, and maybe you want to come pray. Maybe you have some envy and you didn't know. Maybe you want it gone. Or maybe somebody has done you wrong because they were taking from you. They were the one who was envy of what you had. Something pure, something special. And they were a child of darkness. And if you don't find a way to make peace with that, with God, that darkness will keep calling out from the grave, trying to pull you down. And the only way you're going to get rid of that junk in here and in here is to lay it down. Lisa and I have this friend who wants to, I need answers! Jesus died for you. I need answers. I need closure. Jesus loves you. Jesus died that you may have healing, emotionally and spiritually. That's your answer. That's your closure. Because you may never get it from who or whatever you need. So this is your time. Please come pray. And just because I want you to maybe forgive somebody doesn't mean you condone it. Doesn't mean you let them do it to you again. You're making peace within yourself. The way the devil is using politicians and the media to flame somebody else with envy and pull them into a trap of darkness that you can't be because you have made peace with God. Right? So if you want to come pray, maybe you want to pray for a family member that's in trouble. Maybe their mind's gone. Maybe it's an ex-boss. I don't know. This is your time. If you don't want to sit on the floor, bring a chair with you. Please come pray.